Return, O Virgin Daughter of Israel, to these your highways by which you went. Welcome to Reunion Roadmap, a place to discover the people and communities along the highway of restoration for Israel's House of Joseph. Reunion Roadmap is a B'nai Yosef North America production. Be our guest for the next hour as we meet the people of the emerging House of Joseph here in North America. This is Safania Pappas with B'nai Yosef North America, and with me is Alan McCarn, our Executive Director, and we're going to part 3 in our interview with Jeff Apthorp.
That is so. Jeff Apthorp is the mastermind behind I Will Gather You Radio. This is the conclusion of our visit with Jeff. We've learned some of how he came into the Torah walk. We learned about his 30 plus years in Christian broadcasting. And now we'll hear some more about the programming on I Will Gather You and where he would like to take it. It's really quite a story of how it came together suddenly. And Stefani, you and I were just talking about the suddenlies of the Lord, some things that are happening on short notice with friends, moving and just life changes and such. I wonder if we are in a season where we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for kingdom developments. And it seems like we're on the threshold of seeing something. I'm not sure what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I certainly sense that. I mean, certainly prophetic types of events are unfolding. You see just certain things happening and you think, Father, is this the time? Is this the year that these certain events that I look forward to are actually going to happen?
And who knows, maybe it is. Of course, we remember that 2,000 years ago, the apostles were all expecting the imminent return of Messiah Yeshua. And, centuries before that, ancient Israel was expecting the final redemption at any time. And we could go back before that to Abraham and Sarah. We can look on their story and see 25 years they were in the land before Isaac, the son of promise, was born. And we read that and we don't think about the time. But if you and I can look back 25 years, what we were doing then, that's actually a long time. So we wait and we continue to pray and be faithful with what we have. And then when the time comes, well, that's when the suddenlies of the Lord happen. As we have heard from Jeff Apthorp, as we will hear some more of the sudden birth of I Will Gather You Radio, which I expect will be quite a powerful force in this next stage of kingdom restoration. So let's go on back to Indian Land, South Carolina, and complete our visit with Jeff Apthorp. And I think the letter to the Romans is a good filter for us, because I know I agree with the 119 has taught this and others have taught it, that Paul is writing to several different groups of people: the non-Jewish believers in Yeshua, the Jewish Messianic believers. Those two in particular are his audience. And he's writing, okay, this is how you both belong and this is how you should get along.
Right.
If we could take that to heart, and I'll share another thing with you, Jeff. It occurred
getting
to me,
along was dominant. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but getting along was a dominant theme.
Well, like Psalm 137, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity. I believe that is an expression of God's heart for our day. But the way the divisions happen, here we are in this interesting middle ground, where we are Hebraic Torah honoring Christians who are looking forward to the regathering of all Israel and believe we're part of it. Okay, that's alien to our traditional Christian church brethren, and it's alien to our Messianic Jewish brethren who are saying it's another form of replacement theology. It's alien to my non-believing, non-Messianic Jewish friends, because we're still in the Christian camp as far as they are concerned, and they're looking for the other shoe to drop and waiting for us to expect them to accept their Jesus. So there's all kinds of ways and reasons for us to remain in our separate avenues and throw rocks at each other, until you look at it this way. What are we looking forward to? We're looking forward to the Messiah, son of David, returning in power and great glory.
All of us.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
All of us.
we who, what I could say is two house, Hebraic, whatever,
Christian, Jewish, everyone.
We are looking toward that. Christians are looking for Jesus to return and complete the redemption and bring peace, and all the nations flow to Jerusalem. Jews are looking for Messiah to come, the Messiah, son of David, to come, bring redemption, bring peace, all the nations flow to Jerusalem. Messianic Jews are looking for the manifestation of that one new man in Messiah, Yeshua. We're all looking for the same thing. We have different ideas of how we get there, but we are looking for the same hope, for which reason I deem it wise that we stop throwing rocks at each other and look for common ground and see where we can help each other along the way.
Absolutely agreed. And so I mentioned that, our message to our Christian brothers is, hey, give a look at what Paul and the writers of the Bible were saying about keeping the law. But we say to our Jewish friends, we love you, and we recognize that awful things were committed against you in the name of Christianity through the years, and that's deplorable. Like there's no excuse. That was wrong. We are repentant for the sins of our fathers in this regard, and I know that things still happen to this day. People are very insensitive in the way that they approach you, and we think that's wrong. So part of what we're doing is to help to educate those that, I personally haven't met Christian people who are knowingly anti-Semitic, accidentally, perhaps accidentally being offensive. That's common. Yes. But there is a heart of love there in those that I've known throughout the years, and a desire to support Israel as a nation, like the state of Israel as a nation, and the Jewish people. They read the scriptures and recognize the importance of the Jewish people in the eyes of God. And so, when it is perceived that they're out to commit some evil against Jewish people, that isn't, because I grew up there, I know that never was the heart. I've never encountered anybody where their heart was anything but sincere love. And we just we're not taught how to express it in a kind way
right
to them. And so it gets misconstrued, I think, sometimes. But we love the Jewish people, and we love the same Father. We love the same scriptures. We value the Messiah and look forward to living under his reign like you do. And so we have some things in common. And, I and our radio station and the folks that we know, we want to be friends and see if we can help.
So let me ask, what is the content on the station so far, and what do you hope to add?
Well, we have this one guy, his name's Al McCarn.
Oh, heavens.
And Al is one of our broadcasters that does the Torah portion, and we air that on Fridays and Saturdays each week. That's, I think, the newest program that we have put on. We also have programs. I've talked with the folks at 119 Ministries, and they have graciously allowed us to use all of their content. And so that was so helpful to me that was an important one for me to get on if they would be okay with it, and they were. We have PD Vander Vesthuizen from Rise on Fire Ministries, and he is just a marvelous communicator and has such a heart for God. I love to listen to him, and his very different approach. I mean, the same end result, but a very different approach in presentation than 119 would have. And then yet another even more scholarly type of an approach would be J.K. McKee. We have his teaching that's on, and he's very much one to, like, he'll stop and cite every reference as he goes along through. So it's a very high scholarly level, and that is something that we value. We really want the teaching to be such that it can be cited, like if there's original archaeological sources and first century sources and other scholars that are being referenced through the teaching. We want that to be something that can be found and it to be presented in a way that people know where the information is coming from so they can check it out. So scholarship is something we value. We say on the website that we value thousands of years of Christian history. In other words, you're going to hear some Christian hymns on there. And that's because their words are great.
Yes.
I don't know in every case what every person that wrote them believed about everything, but I know the words to that song because I can hear them and they're consistent with what I see the Bible teaching and a comfort to many people. So we're going to play those. And you know what? Some of those widows that write in, they really like those.
Amen. One of the greatest, I think I shared with this with you once, Jeff, one of the greatest testimonies I heard from the pulpit about the classic hymns of the faith was about John Wesley. This was in a Baptist church, mind you, Southern Baptist church. And the pastor was talking about John Wesley, the founder of Methodism. And he said, people would ask, where is John Wesley's theology? Where is his doctrine? Well, it's in Charles Wesley's hymns.
Right.
Yes, it's all there. So, absolutely. The hymns of the faith have spoken to me since I was a child and still do. Because oftentimes, like with Amazing Grace, John Newton, former slave ship captain, wrote that it is his testimony. Well, you can't take away someone's story.
Right.
Yeah. Or it is well with my soul. Another of my
H.G. Spafford. Yes.
Spafford's story, writing that from the depths of grief as he's passing along in the North Atlantic where a ship went down and his daughters died there and his wife was saved alone, but pouring out his soul to the Father.
Yeah.
So thank you for playing the hymns. What else have you got for music on?
Well, we have music from a number of different Messianic artists, but also from Jewish artists and from Christian artists. We look for ones. Now, I'm a stickler on one thing, Al. I like people who sing on pitch.
That would help. Yeah.
my many years in the recording studio I have perfect pitch, and I have spent a lot of time doing pitch correction for various artists over the years. And so I do look for that. So just, if you're fussy about that, you'll like this station. And then one of the other kinds of programs that we have that's sort of unique is we have a prayer time. Now, that's not unusual to have a prayer time on radio, but we do it every 6 hours. And we begin with the Shema. So that's kind of a call. People hear that. They know, oh, that's what that means. It's time. And then we follow that with the Lord's Prayer each time that happens. So it'll be at, this is Eastern time. So 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock again, and 6 o'clock. Every time it hits a 12 or a 6 Eastern time, then we signal that it's time to stop and pray. And so we will play the Shema. We'll play what's called the Lord's Prayer after that. And then that's followed by instrumental music for several more minutes so that there's time for people to pray. It's hard in our life today to always remember, and we're encouraging folks to set aside time for Bible reading and for focused prayer. That's necessary. Right. But when folks forget or they need, a push, a nudge in that direction, this is a way that, the whole community is reminded at the same time. Everybody that's listening at the same time is encouraged to pray. And so I was just scanning down through our list here. We have a number of other programmers that I have reached out to, and I'm waiting to hear back from them on permission. So I won't mention those at the moment, but we're still, I believe, quite early in the process of lining up programs. But just so you know, we're aiming for very credible scholars and hoping to really be a blessing to the Jewish people, the Messianic people, Christian people, all of the people who are lovers of God, lovers of the Messiah. It's for you.
Amen. Amen. Well, already you've mentioned a number of names that are high in my book. J.K. McKee, for example, his works have blessed me for years.
And he's a dynamite guy to communicate with too. I'll tell you that. I really like him.
Yes. Well, and 15, 20 years ago, as I was starting out on this journey, it was John McKee's works that first showed me the scholarly level, the scholarly underpinning of this. I have for years regarded him as one of the most accomplished theologians in this walk.
Yeah.
So keep bringing in folks like that. That's one of the exciting things that I'm seeing about this Torah awakening is the level of due diligence, of credibility, of scholarship, the things that one would expect. If this really is a move of the Lord, then it's got to be more than just feel-good fluff.
Yep.
There's got to be,
it has to be able to withstand scrutiny.
Yes.
And, if you're out there with a teaching, but suddenly it can't stand up to archaeological evidence, and it can't stand up to, what the early church fathers were saying, and it can't stand up to what Josephus wrote, and, all of the different sources that we have available to us, then it's time to go back and relook at it. And so, we're encouraging that daily as we line up these authors. I like J.K. McKee. You mentioned him. I'll draw out something that he does so well. I like that when he goes into explaining a position on a verse, for example, he will cite the different views on it and, say, this is a popular view here for this reason, and he'll give the positives for it and the negatives. And then this is another view, and he'll give the positives and the negatives. And then, when he gets done, he'll wrap it up and he'll also give his view, but not without presenting all of them so you can weigh them against each other. That's fair, right?
It is.
To acknowledge that there are other views on things.
That's what I call due diligence.
Yes. So I'm looking for more programs that will be like that, and just so grateful for your support, Al, and for the support of the folks at Founded in Truth who have Founded in Truth and others that have been so encouraging in making this happen.
And once again, that is iwillgatheryou.com. Just go there. You can download the app, the new iPhone app, the Android app. Wow, that's great. Jeff, do you have any final word to leave with the audience?
Just that it's our desire to continue to grow together as a community. So, the name says so much. I will gather you. It is something we're looking forward to, but every single day, it's our goal to point people to think about our Messiah. We want folks to walk out allegiance to King Yeshua. And that's kind of our phrase that we describe it. It's a station to help you walk out allegiance to King Yeshua while we await his return. So we're looking for him all the time. We're talking every day about things in the Sermon on the Mount. We're daily reminding people of all of the things that seem so upside down from how we want to react. When somebody crosses us, or, there's poor people, or all the different ways where we feel like responding in a different way to what Yeshua taught. We're trying to draw attention and help remind people to walk the way he said. And it isn't just about obeying laws from the Torah, but it's simultaneously about, new ways of thinking about how to obey those laws. It's always with a goal of love. It's always with a goal of mercy. Mercy is something that he makes such an important, high calling in the kingdom. And so it's easy, I know from my past experience, to get focused on, my service for God is this big thing that I'm building. No, the big thing is doing the nice thing for your wife when nobody's looking. The big thing that matters is helping out that poor person that you've come in time. The big thing that matters is showing mercy to the person who does not deserve to be forgiven, but you're going to do it anyway because that's what Yeshua said matters the most. It's the weightiest matters. They're the weightiest matters of the kingdom. So we're trying to be a voice that's daily saying, let's pay attention to the Sermon on the Mount. That's our constitution. He is our leader. Our allegiance is to him alone. And he says, obey other government officials. He says to get along with the people you're around. So we're good citizens because of that. But he's our leader that we're answering to.
Amen. That's a good way to end our visit, but I'm sure it won't be the last.
I hope not. Enjoyed it, Al.
Jeff Apthorp of I Will Gather You Radio. Thank you very much for sharing your heart with us.
My pleasure, Al. Thank you.
Here is Yvette Adonai singing a remix of Shir HaMa'alot, Song of Ascents, with Cuanto Amo Tu Ley, Oh, How I Love Your Law.
Shir HaMa'alot Nebarchu et Adonai Shir HaMa'alot Nebarchu et Adonai Kol odei Adonai Aodim be'evet Adonai baleilot Kol odei Adonai Aodim be'evet Adonai baleilot Yevarech Adonai mitziosef Shamayim va'aretz Zu yedechem be'evet Adonai ubarchu et shemo Yevarech Adonai mitziosef Shamayim va'aretz Zu yedechem be'evet Adonai ubarchu et shemo Zu yedechem kodesh ubarchu et Adonai Zu yedechem kodesh ubarchu et Adonai Kol odei Adonai Aodim be'evet Adonai baleilot Kol odei Adonai Aodim be'evet Adonai baleilot Yevarech Adonai mitziosef Shamayim va'aretz Zu yedechem be'evet Adonai ubarchu et shemo Yevarech Adonai mitziosef Shamayim va'aretz Zu yedechem be'evet Adonai ubarchu et shemo Oh, cuánto amo tu ley, día y noche en ella yo meditaré. Lámpara es a mis pies, tu palabra y lumbrera mi camino, porque son el gozo de mi corazón. Oh, cuánto amo tu ley, porque juicio y justicia has hecho en mí. Oh, cuánto amo tu ley, tu ley. Cuán dulces son al paladar tus palabras, más que la miel a mi boca. Oh, cuánto amo tu ley, porque son el gozo de mi corazón. Oh, cuánto amo tu ley, porque juicio y justicia has hecho
Shalom and welcome to the Midrash portion of today's Reunion Roadmap. This is Barry Phillips along with my co-host today, David Jones. David, I trust you're well.
Doing well, brother.
All right. David, I've got a concern. I wonder if our Creator is confused. And that's of great concern to me today.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
All right. So we're told in the book of John or Yochanan, chapter number 14, Yeshua answered him in verse 23, if anyone loves me, he shall guard my word, and my Father shall love him, and we shall come to him and make our stay with him. Yeshua in this context and in the next chapter multiple times talks about the indwelling of him within us as the word. If my word abides in you and you abide in me, there seems to be this interconnected relationship going on. At the same time, in the book of Leviticus, in chapter number 10, after the death of Nadab and Abihu, we hear Yah make a very firm declaration and says, by those who come near me, let me be set apart, and before all the people, let me be esteemed. In chapter 16, as we, at the time of this recording, we are approaching this particular Torah portion, Akrimot. He says in verse 2, speak to your Aaron, your brother, not to come in at all times to the set apart place inside the veil, because the lid of the atonement is on the ark, lest he die, because I appear in the cloud above the lid of atonement. Does Yah want to be close to us or not? It's almost as if I'm hearing, or not, maybe I'm not hearing, but I'm saying it could be heard. Come in here and let's fellowship together, but stay at an arm's length. Don't get too close. Yet Yeshua is offering what seems to be a much more intimate opportunity. It's kind of like Marcion's mindset that one side of the book is judgmental and restricting, and the other side of the book is open and inviting. Now, I know that's an oversimplification here, but I think that the both sides of the book must say the same thing. So what are the intended words being spoken to us here? Are we allowed to get close to him? As much of our praise and worship music suggests, we're going to have this super intimacy with the Creator and crawl up in his lap and say, Daddy, this is what I need from you? Or is he saying this close but no closer? Being confused about this, I came to the only person I know that can straighten me out. So, David, straighten me out this morning.
Well, good luck with that one.
You're welcome.
My mind is racing with so many thoughts right now that I can't keep my thoughts really straight at the moment, to be honest with you. I think from the beginning, Yahweh, after he created mankind, wanted to dwell with mankind. I don't think that's changed. I feel that was the idea from the very beginning of everything, to dwell with that which he created. He loved what he created. And so to dwell with what he created has been the idea from the beginning. But what we learn through the scripture, especially reading through the book of Vayikra, Leviticus, is that sin and uncleanness, not just sin, because sin is unclean, but not all unclean is sin. Some areas of unclean are just by living in this world, and if you touch the dead body, it's unclean. If you touch blood, I mean, there are different things that can make unclean. But sin and uncleanness separates us from Yahweh. So what we find in the book of Exodus, after Yahweh redeems his people, brings them out and says, and I will take you, you will be my people, I will be your God. And then he says, I want you to build me a mishkan that I may dwell among you, not getting deep into that, but that word betocham, to dwell among you, literally means to dwell within you. And in the very core of you, not just living next to you. So they build a tabernacle, and after the tabernacle is built, the glory of Yahweh came and dwelt in the tabernacle, and his presence was so strong there that nobody could enter in. Well, doesn't that defeat the purpose? Doesn't that defeat the point? That's kind of our thought here today. Wait a minute, you said you wanted to dwell within us, and now we can't even like sidle up next to you. So how does this coincide?
Right.
So here, Yahweh shows us, I want you to approach, but you can't just approach on your terms, because it's your terms that chose to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Oh.
We were meant to partake of the tree of life. Because you notice he said there's only one tree I don't want you to eat from, and that was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We were intended to eat from the tree of life, but we chose to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So to have his life in our midst, which I believe the tree of life is also represented in one way by the menorah, which is also a representation of Yeshua, the light of the world, one that was to give light to the world.
Uh-huh.
So we come to him in his way, in his approach. He wants us to dwell with him, and he wants to live within us. And the tabernacle and the temple, again, we can really spend a lot of time on that, but I know we're not going to today. The tabernacle and the temple shows us what Yahweh desires to do with us as an individual, us as a people, and us as an individual. He says, I want to live in the very center of you, the Ark of the Covenant, representing the heart of mankind. So he wants us to approach, but how? And so the whole book of Vayikra, Leviticus, shows us how to approach, shows us the importance of putting boundaries on the clean and the holy and the common. And it shows us to be knowledgeable and accountable to Yahweh as holy, and he calls us to be a holy people. Not when the instructions were given for the priests, the Kohen, and the Levites, all Israel knew the responsibilities of the Kohen, the Kohanim, and the Levim. All Israel knew this. It wasn't like some secret sect that nobody could know what they were supposed to be doing. Everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing. And I mean, the Kohanim knew in a little more detail, but everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing. Why? Because this was supposed to be a representation of what Yahweh wants to do in the lives of the people. He wants us to be a holy people, but the closer you got to his presence, it's not just the more responsibility you have in your life, but the more accountability you have in your life as well.
Okay.
I mean, Yahweh's grace is still there, but you have a greater accountability because, as you stated in Leviticus 10:3, to those who are near me, I will be sanctified. You either glorify or profane his name by your actions. I'll stop there. I know you're ready to throw something in here.
Let's bring it down to a practical life situation. Someone through some life experience feels distant. They're desperately needing Yah. They're desperately needing his healing, his encouragement, his compassion, these merciful traits that he offers of himself to us, and yet they feel disconnected and distant. It's the proverbial, where are you when I need you so much mindset. Is it that he is distant from us, or that we have distanced ourselves from him? He's unchanging. He's unmovable. I'm thinking of, and I'm turning quickly here due to time, I'm thinking of Acts chapter 17, verse 27, to seek the master if at least they would reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. Sometimes there is in the times of hurt, pain, grief, etc. There is a need for us to grope for Him, to reach out for Him. Now, I would love to feel the idea that any and every time that I sense weakness or some sort of great need of Him, He's immediately there, and I instantly feel the strength of His hands on me, or those descriptors that we use about how we encounter Him. Sometimes, David, it's as if we need to grope for Him, feel after Him, to find Him, because it's in that process of our reaching and searching for Him that we discover there's more to Him than what we have previously known. We can get very, very easily trapped into phrases and I'm struggling here to describe lines out of a song. I think of the old song, He's just as close as the mention of His name. Well, sometimes you call out His name and you don't feel Him. We can pray a favorite verse and expect that something is instantly going to change. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes there is a need to search, to feel, to grasp for Him, because there's more to Him to be realized than what we have previously known. It's in the stretching, it's in the reaching for that we grow. A body that doesn't move, it becomes locked up, atrophies. You have to move, you have to stretch in order to keep your body strong enough to live. Your final thoughts on that?
Well, I think Yahweh wants us to rely on Him fully, and in order to do that, we're creatures of habit. We want to do what we want to do and have this system, and we live by this system, and that's how things work. But Yahweh says, you're not going to find me by some mathematical formula. You're not going to find me by some incantation. You're not going to find me by saying just the right thing or doing just the right thing. No, we have to search for Him with all of our heart, and He will meet us there. And I think He does it this way. Again, this is just my thoughts. I think He does it this way so that we do have to rely on Him, so that we can't just say, oh, if I just do this, then I know it, no, because then are we relying on what we know, or are we really relying on Him? And we shouldn't fall into the trap of relying on something that we know and understand, because He is truly unfathomable, and we can't truly know everything about Him. But He wants us to know Him. So how do we do that? We pursue Him. And like you were saying, we pursue Him with all of our heart, with all of our mind, with all our soul, all our strength. It's a reminder from the Shema, right? And as we do that, then we will grow. We will learn. We will change. And that's the idea. We have to change. He wants us to be like Him. He wants us to live with Him. That means we have to walk with Him. And in order to do that, we've got some steps to make, we have to change, because He doesn't. And so to come to His presence, we have to take those steps. He's holding His arms out to us, and He's drawing us in, but He's not like dragging us by the hair, Right. So we've got to be willing to take those steps in order to change, to follow Him. And like you said, Yeshua said, if you love me, keep my commandments. There is a reciprocal relationship to covenant that we don't really have the time to go into today, but I do believe, like you were saying, there are times you don't feel things. Well, part of it could just be because there's sin in our life we haven't come to terms with. There's the fact that we live in an unclean world, but Zechariah 13 says there's a fountain that will be open to the house of David, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, to cleanse them from sin and uncleanness. And I believe that's Yeshua, that He will cleanse us from sin and uncleanness so that we can come into His presence and serve Him with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, everything, all of our body, cleanse our conscience so that we can live before Him and be able to be in His presence. And if we do, not really if, but when we fall, we have an advocate, Yeshua, to go to the Father for us. But in the meantime, we need to learn His ways.
Yes, indeed. And something else we have to learn. We're out of time.
So.
We really appreciate you tuning in, listening to this portion of our broadcast. If you would like to leave us questions and comments, you can do so at Reunion Roadmap at B'nai Yosef NA
And now, Barry Phillips and the Aleph Tav Band with Satisfy My Heart.
Satisfy my heart, Yeshua. Satisfy my heart, Yeshua. Only you know what I need, yeah. Satisfy my heart, Yeshua. I live my life in my own way. My life was one filled with pride. Since I found the love of Yeshua, I can say I'm satisfied. You satisfy my heart, Yeshua. Satisfy my heart, Yeshua. Only you know what I need, yeah. Satisfy my heart, Yeshua. The stripes upon his back, and on his head a thorny crown, from the nails and a wounded side, blood fell to the ground and set apart my heart, Yeshua. Set apart my heart, Yeshua. Only you know what I need. Set apart my heart, Yeshua. I'm so satisfied, satisfy my heart, Yeshua. Satisfy my heart, Yeshua. Only you know what I need, yeah. Satisfy my heart, Yeshua. Only you know what I need, yeah. Satisfy my heart, Yeshua.
Satisfy My Heart, Yeshua. That's the song by Barry Phillips. We heard before that Eved Adonai with the Song of Ascents. And we had a midrash with Barry Phillips and David Jones talking about following and drawing near. Tefania, they were talking about a question that has entered my mind from time to time. As the Lord wants us to draw near. But then how can we do that if he says, no, I am holy and you have to stay at arm's length? What jumped out at you at that discussion point of that very thing?
Well, if you look at what happened with the veil being rent, it was like, if you think that I'm not going to draw near and don't want you to draw near, then look at this very act that I have done right here, which is an expression of the relationship is open for you to come near. And I think, he's been throughout the years, the nearly 6,000 years, if we could say, that he's been drawing near to us. But you see the whole history, when you start looking at the history of Israel and everything like that, it's really not that Israel has been drawing near to him.
That's the human story.
Yes.
Either we want to let someone intervene and be the mediator, as happened at Mount Sinai when the people said to Moses, you listen to God and then tell us what he says.
Yes.
Either that's the case, or we rush in like Nadav and Abihu did, heedless of the protocol, or like Uzzah did when he reached out and steadied the ark when they were carrying it contrary to protocol. So now I have heard that the great lie that caused 1/3 of the angels to follow after Hasatan was him telling them they could live however they wanted and still be accepted by the Almighty. I don't remember who told me that. I think it probably comes from the ancient Jewish sages, because we know they thought much about things like this.
Yes.
And that's the same lie, of course, that we have fallen for.
Yes.
Then that's the other thing. Either we want someone to intervene and just keep God at arm's length so we can continue to pay lip service and satisfy him, but live the way we want, or we will draw near on our own terms, still living whatever way we want, and doing so with the presumption that God really doesn't care. He just wants to be with us.
Yes.
I've seen both extremes.
Yep.
In fact, I've lived both extremes.
If we're honest, we could say that about all of ourselves,
Yeah, that adds to me some more weight to the reasons we have a divine Messiah who took on human form.
Yes.
Without that, there's no way around this conundrum of our God wanting us to be in fellowship with him to the point of being so intimate that we are one in him and he in us. He's dwelling and tabernacling with us.
Yes.
So there's that. But how do we do that? Because he is holy and we are tainted by our sin.
Yes.
The only way is, I think, that our God has to enter into our world, limiting himself in that sense so that he can experience life as we experience it and still prevail and be able to be offered as that atonement for us, the propitiation of our sins, as the King James says it. It's still something that boggles my mind.
Yeah, it's very mysterious, if you will, in a sense.
Very much.
He is this very perfect, omnipresent, omnipotent, all-loving God. And how is this that I can become approachable towards him?
And I am reminded of that parable of the wedding feast where Yeshua says the host is so incensed that people are not coming, so he sends his servants out and they bring in everybody from the highways and the byways and the hedges, but there's that one guest with no wedding garment.
Yes.
I think that might be the answer here. God invites us all to come in so we can come in, but there is this cleaning up and proper attire.
Yes.
So that's the lifelong process that we're living through. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Reunion Roadmap. Now, if you do appreciate what you're hearing here on the show, then please visit our website, BneiYosefNA.com, BneiYosefNA.com, and check out the resources we have there, and even check out the donate button we have there if you are so moved to partner with us. So on behalf of Zephaniah Pappas and Barry Phillips and David Jones, this is Al McCarn. Thank you for listening. Shavua Tov.
Thank you for joining us on Reunion Roadmap, a production of B'nai Yosef North America. Please come back next week for another visit with the people of the emerging house of Joseph here in North America.